So now we have another important panel and another important aspect, cloud deployment and the across PSUs and the issues these public sector undertakings are facing while they are migrating most of their applications into cloud. For this panel discussion, it's my pleasure to invite on stage the panelists. May I welcome Dipesh Jain, Chief Manager IT from Power Finance Corporation. Welcome, Dipesh. It's my pleasure to welcome the lady on this panel, Haritima Jaipuriyar, General Manager IT, Railtel Corporation. Welcome, ma'am. I'd like to welcome Avnish Vats, General Manager IT, EESL. Welcome, Avnish. Mr. Alok Shankar Pandey, Additional General Manager IT of Dedicated Freight Corridor Corporation. Welcome, Alok. And from the industry perspective, Rajiv Kumar Surolia, Director Strategic Business, Ra Infotech. So again, like the previous sessions, we would like to keep the answers succinct, and maybe I would request each panelist to give very brief answers so that we can cover more areas rather than harping on one point. So what I would like to start is, it's now given, be it enterprises in the public sector or private enterprises, or even mid-size organizations, that some form of the cloud they have deployed definitely. So what I will start with Dipesh. My first question is, an organization typically will now have a hybrid kind of cloud environment where there will be certain applications on the private cloud, maybe the business critical applications. The not so critical applications might be on some public cloud. There would be multiple cloud service providers providing some applications, might be on the edge. So this multi-cloud scenario, managing that, how is it as a challenge as a technology leader, and how are you managing that?
Okay, greetings everyone. Managing hybrid clouds is not very easy because there are so many options available, and because of the rigid setup you are carrying for so many years. So to moving the workloads from your on-premise or legacy setups to hybrid cloud environments, that needs due diligence to migrate the entire cloud, because what you require in future, that needs to be assessed, whether P2V migration that is required. If that is required, then what are the tools or the approach you will follow for this migration. Then the replications part, how will you be replicating the databases, the applications, the storages in that multiple environments. So that becomes a challenge. Then obviously security aspect, especially cloud security aspects in each of the environment, whether it's public cloud, private cloud, or hyperscalers, that needs to be taken care. So when it's already a challenge to maintain a on-premise and a cloud integration thing. And when you bring a multi-cloud perspective in your setup, then everything needs to be integrated, because ultimately it's a fort. It's a IT setup fort which needs to be fortified in respect of cyber security. So it needs a very detailed assessment, and then only you can move forward. Okay. Thank you.
Thanks. So if I may sum it up, the two important points that you mentioned, one is the cloud migration approach and the policies, and obviously the security part. We'll take up on the security part later in slightly more details. I'll come to Haritima ma'am now, and almost a similar question. organization maintaining hybrid cloud, not just a hybrid environment, but multiple clouds from multiple service provider? What are the management challenges and how are you doing that?
Good evening to all. First, I would like to thank you for inviting me for this panel discussion. And so far the challenges are concerned, I was hearing Mr. Dipesh that when a PSU thinks of, there are multiple options these days. They can have a private cloud and they can go in for some workloads to migrate on public cloud, and they can have on-premise physical hardware-based application as well. So these all together form a hybrid cloud. And since Railtel, from Railtel standpoint, I would like to say that we can be one component of the hybrid cloud. Like we can offer, we can become a public cloud service provider for a PSU, and migration challenges that a PSU faces, that can be handled by us. Like we are doing migration we have done for many of the PSUs, and for that you need to have a clear-cut migration strategy detailing all the tasks, and you need to have and we do have a skill set, right set of resources that handle and those who collaborate with the OEMs in handling the migration, doing the test and validation, and finally monitoring the thing. So I think those challenges can be overcome if we collaborate and work together.
Okay, okay. Thanks. So basically, again, the migration approach and as well as the very nitty-gritties of how you take the steps you have talked about. We'll talk in detail. Mr. Alok Shankar Pandey, I'll come to you next. I know you have to rush to a meeting also. So the similar question, multiple cloud scenario. And while there are so many applications, certain applications are on these public cloud, certain are on private cloud, certain applications might be in-house. How do you balance between all of these?
At the outset, thank you for inviting me to the event. And second, in the interest of transparency, all views expressed are personal. No organizational
Sure.
views are being expressed over here. Multi-cloud for me, I don't treat it as a challenge. It is more of a contract management, which is a challenge for multi-cloud as far as I am concerned, because almost all cloud dynamics remain the same. You have multiple different interface points through which you are hosting your applications or managing your workloads. The only challenge that I see with respect to multi-cloud environment is when you start evaluating one vis-a-vis other and you start seeing benefit in one cloud service offering vis-a-vis the other, and you want to port out certain applications from one or migrate applications from one cloud to the business dynamics are different. You tend to get locked with applications into cloud. So that is where I see the challenge. Otherwise, I don't see it as pure contract management.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks. So you have sort of highlighted a very pertinent area around the contract management. And when I'll come to Rajiv later, I'll ask him to respond on that. Avnish, again, the same question put to you. Multi-cloud scenario in your organization, how are you managing that? What are the main, if I may say, not bottlenecks, but the main issues involved there?
So I totally agree with Alok, because we need to think like if various options are provided to various clients, right? Public, private, and some specialized, right? So absolutely it is for the client's benefit, right? So you have a choice, you need to put whatever type of application you need to think. It is a public facing application, we can put on public cloud. If it is a business critical application, generally we even not think about it can go on out of on-prem. Now people are hosting SAP on private or virtual private cloud. So I totally agree with Alok, like it's all your strategy, your planning, your evaluation, which particular, where do you require scalability, where you require portability, do you require any cloud native feature like containerization or migration related issue that can be catered with that. So accordingly, it's you need to do deep down study of that. Then only you can plan it out, because always it's not proper strategy, not proper planning. Definitely, it become a challenge for any organization.
Okay. So again, the emphasis on planning, and one important word you mentioned, evaluation. This is one point. We'll again take it up later.
So
Now
one more point I wanted to highlight, like I am on cloud since 2017, and my whole A to Z workload on cloud. And in 2017, PSU very dare to like opt the cloud kind of environment.
Oh, great. Rajiv, now as a solution provider, as a value-added system integrator, I've come to you, heard from all the technology leaders from the PSU organizations, and they generally highlighted some of the challenges and issues normally faced during migration towards a multi-cloud environment. So as a solution provider, what would you recommend? Briefly, if you can mention the issues, or if I may say, the steps that these technology leaders can undertake when they are going for cloud migration.
First of all, thank you for having me here. I'm thankful for that. So the Amrit Kal topic, digital transformation, is itself an ongoing process. And I just wanted to correct you here. We are value-added distributor, not the solution provider. Yes, of course, there is a solution at the back end. So we have multiple solutions, RH being an value-added distributor of multiple technology, especially cybersecurity, and then followed with the other. So transformation is always a challenging part for any company. Prior to this panel, we were having the power sector largely. And I could say that with my own experience, the regime of transformation in power sector started in 2009 with the name of RAPDRP program. So where the all distribution utilities specifically not having any IT infrastructure or having very minimal IT infrastructure, which subsequently enhanced, and they have given the complete ring fencing for the IT infrastructure, which is basically a transformation from manual to IT. And by the virtue of that initiatives, they've been able to reduce the losses, which was more than 50% in some utility, and up to the 30% or 25%, or today probably there is 15-20% in some areas which they are claiming. So solution enablement in the any part of the life cycle of any organization is a challenging task. Here also now we are transforming to cloud infrastructure, which is having again its own challenges and opportunities also. And the larger challenge is security, and where the RH role comes in. So just wanted to mention here to give the experience to our prospective or customer or existing or anybody for that matter, those who wanted to understand the real life feel of what exactly is the transformation and how it going to happen. We are going to open or start center for excellence for different type of technologies.
Okay.
So that's how,
We'll take up the security issue. I'll come first to Mr. Alok Shankar Pandey. He has to leave for a meeting. So my question, and this came up earlier also, one, obviously, when you are the evaluation thing, one of the panelists talked about evaluating different solution providers and especially today in a cloud environment, you are working with multiple providers. So evaluation is one criteria. Beyond that, when you are working with so many solution providers and this having all of them in one basket, that is itself is a challenge. So how do you handle? What are the criteria that you normally leverage to select the solution providers? And more critically, once they are selected, in terms of it can be the contract management or SLAs, how do you ensure that they are conformed to those SLAs?
Bulk of bulk of the headache is already taken off by virtue of, at least for the PSUs, a word called mighty empanelment. So that takes off a very big bulk of my headache. Now the next set of challenge that comes is same solution is being provided by across cloud and especially in the SaaS segment.
Exactly.
As users, we are focused more on the PaaS and SaaS segment. So in the SaaS segment, when the same product offering is available across various clouds, each one of them has a different flavor, different uptake and learning curve. Some are good to take on and have a very quick spin-off. Some have a large learning curve, but have a long horizon delivery period, those kind of things. So these, you have to identify your business case with respect to the SaaS offerings that the cloud service provider is giving, especially when you're looking at multi-cloud. Otherwise, you can look at concentrating to a single cloud and decide on the majority of the factors that serve you. The minute you go into SaaS offerings of different flavors, you have that much requirement of a different skill set available with each kind of people. And finally, my problem with multi-cloud is it increases my attack surface, which is the security perspective. It increases my attack surface grossly. So the attack surface management in itself becomes a challenge.
Okay.
I have touched upon security unasked because I would like to take a leave now.
Okay. Thanks. So before Mr. Alok has to leave for a meeting, I'd request Shivani to hand over a token of appreciation to Alok. Thank you, sir. Oh, careful. I'd come to Dipesh now with a question. The question is, we talked about multi-cloud migration and we talked about evaluating the third-party solution providers, but we heard about there are so many of these SaaS providers. Now, when we are talking cloud, there are now 3 platforms we all know. Most of the applications are with these SaaS solution providers, but overall there is a platform also, so there is a PaaS also, then there will be an infrastructure, so IaaS also. So a very, if I may say, complex kind of architecture. And from a power PSU, these sort of complex architecture, how easy or how manageable is it in that overall scenario? How do you do that?
See, first of all, we need to assess that what type of service we need to take from cloud service provider, IaaS, PaaS, or SaaS. So up to what level we have capabilities or convenience, depending upon our past projects handled by the PSU IT team and the level of skills acquired by the IT manpower. So depending upon that, you can decide upon the type of service which need to be taken from the service provider. At the basic level, we can take IaaS, where the infrastructure is provided by the service provider and you can build on the platform and the applications by your IT team. But if the application is quite new or complex or very short-lived, then we can take SaaS also, where that applications is delivered by the service provider and depending upon the SLAs and the requirements, all those services can be provided by the service provider. So in SaaS, the deliveries of the provider is very critical, because whatever he's delivering is passed on to the users, the organization's users directly, and IT team has more of a coordination role. So there's a huge dependency, I will say, on the service provider. So whether this will work or not, that depends upon the diligence on selecting the vendor and how that contract is written, so that the service is delivered, the application delivered, the performance levels, the user friendliness of the applications, and the entire GUI, that needs to be as per the company's expectations. So SaaS model is definitely workable, but due diligence needs to be done before availing such services.
Okay, so obviously the need for due diligence and having a little bit customized requirements for SaaS or a PaaS or an IaaS. Haritima ma'am, I'll come to you with a security question. Now, in a cloud environment, how can a PSU, and where data is also so critical, so how can you ensure, and especially when you are working on a non-on-premise thing, that security part, the data security in the cloud scenario, what are the measures that you are taking?
So, as Mr. Pandey, who has left, he mentioned, half of the answer was given by him only. When you go in for a multi-panel CSP, half of your headache is gone, because you're already following certain security controls that are required. So, apart from that, I would like to elaborate what all we are doing for security in the cloud. Like we do encryption and data at rest and data in transit, both are encrypted. So the confidentiality and integrity of the data is maintained that way. Apart from that, we also have a role-based access control system, and we have password policy, multi-factor authentication enabled, which also takes care of the security. Then we also provide backup. So in case of any untoward happens, then the application can be restored through the backup that we are having. And we also do regular audits from third party, from certain empanel, and STQC audit also. Like we are already audited by STQC, and surveillance audit also we get it done from STQC to check the potential vulnerabilities, and also check whether the controls that are implemented, they are working or not, and the vulnerabilities that are found, they are then plugged. So all these measures are taken by a CSP. So I think the PSUs who are thinking to go in for hosting in cloud, they should be rest assured, because security is taken care by the CSP in a professional manner.
Great, thanks. So, very pertinent points and advice for other PSUs. Confidentiality, integrity, multi-factor authentication, regular audits to check the vulnerabilities. You touched upon all the critical points. Avnish, the similar question. Aritima mentioned about confidentiality and integrity. There is an availability part. We know that CIA model. So my question is, while you are ensuring all these measures from a PSU perspective, and as this has been mentioned, that in some cases for the PSUs, some of the challenges take allayed because of MIT's involvement. But my question is, when you are doing all these measures, at the same time, you have to optimize the productivity of your organization. That's a core business. So how do you ensure? How do you balance between the two?
So, very valid point. Most of the headache has been taken mighty, and as ma'am said, all the proper control has been built, all encryption, all audits and identity management, access controls, all are placed. But in my opinion, once we go for a rented house, right? पूरी सोसाइटी का सिक्योरिटी तो होता है वहाँ के स्टाफ के पास, पूरा सिक्योरिटी गार्ड है, वन गार्ड इज एट योर टावर and rest of the are on moving side, but your house is your responsibility, right? Infrastructure as a cloud, they have taken all the measures, but whatever, if you have a private cloud or virtual private cloud, what application you have hosted there, so all these you need to take care. It is not only the cloud's person's responsibility. So if and again you need to have a very like balanced approach, which particular data, what type of security you need to implement. If you have a business critical implementation, you need to think about data classification and segmentation, right? And once you have given a access control, that critical application, so you need to see what kind of compliances, what kind of access, and what particular module they are accessing it. Again, the monitoring, continuous monitoring has to happen. So if we will put all these things together, definitely we will able to achieve. Otherwise, तो चल ही रहा है जैसा चल रहा है, जब होगा देखा जाएगा. So I think उस approach से हमें बाहर आना है. और I am seeing in since COVID has like lot of cloud adoption is there. So security is prime concern for most of the PSUs as well as organization. Earlier, security was not on that table and it was not discussed.
Yeah, I'm sure. And this COVID thing has accelerated the cloud adoption, I'm sure, even amongst PSUs, like it has done for every enterprise. I'll come back to you, Rajiv, now. You heard again the security issues. Now, since your core expertise is in providing security solutions, and typically for the PSUs, you have to keep in mind there are certain unique features amongst PSUs and other private enterprises, because one, I may say regulatory conformances or certain issues, government policies, those mandates they have to abide by. So in that scenario, and also in terms of getting skilled manpower, the process might be slower than, the recruitment process might be slower than a private enterprise. So in that scenario, what would your advice as a security solution provider be for the PSUs, and what steps would you like to take?
So on a lighter note, I would say the selection of the right partner like RAH Infotech is the best solution. But having said that, I would certainly understand the concern of PSU of, first challenge is the change management. Once the transformation happens, it is very imperative to handle the change management, which covers the security, which covers the skill set within the PSU also, and training, appropriately training to the people, so that the transition should happen in a very, very comfortable this thing. So provided with the current technology and the platforms and the policy guidelines which is already there in the industry and people are following that, now it has become very much, I would say, the easy and comfortable to transform the in-house infra to the cloud infra. So I would request all the PSUs not to much worry on that. But yes, certainly one PSU should decide that what exactly is their requirement and how much the size of the digitization they want on the cloud. So the balancing should be understand first.
Okay.
Before getting on the...
So a very proper assessment, accurate assessment, that is critical. So I'll conclude with Just 30 seconds to each panelist. My question is very simple. Has cloud adoption opened new opportunities for PSUs, and what is the future? A little prediction, 30 seconds to each of you, starting with you, Dipesh.
Yes, of course, cloud adoption has increased many opportunities for PSUs based depending and mainly because the procurement challenges a typical government agency faces. So, working in a OPEX model definitely eases out the procurement things and the flexibility it gives because it has pay as you go and scale up model. So that benefits as an infrastructure person. I can realize that and the amount of variations, the variety of solutions available in cloud that encourages me to adopt more applications, more things for my users. That's it.
Great. So act as an sort of encouragement. Haritima ma'am.
Yeah. So far as new opportunities are concerned, certainly cloud adoption is giving PSUs new opportunities. Like one of the things that mentioned by him was uh, cost saving. The other is efficiency because you don't have to buy IT infrastructure and uh, just take the service from the CSP. So the deployment is very fast. And the third, and another point that I would like to mention is cybersecurity is definitely a big issue these days. It has become an issue. And even if you have on-premise deployment, you need to have a security team to take care of the cybersecurity issues. But if you go for uh, hosting service from a cloud service provider, security of infra is taken care by the CSP, and the CSP like Railtel, we also have an in-house SOC where we do monitor all the threats and vulnerabilities, and we take care of the security aspect of the cloud also through that SOC. So security, taking care of security is also on the CSP. That way, it is good for the customer also.
Yes, that's a very advanced measure, I would say, initiative in having an internal SOC to do these measures. Avnish?
So, in my opinion, cloud is the basic building block for any digital transformation, right? PSU are adopting it. If we will see most conservative PSU, where a lot of compliances are there, banks are adopting cloud in a very big way. So, we have a lot of new things to deal with. Otherwise we have to use the emerging technology. We need to build a lot of infrastructure. You go and then buy that services and then try it out, new things. You can have a lot of analytics inbuilt in the cloud. So definitely there are a lot of opportunity available with but we need to have that in depth, or we need to evaluate and what exactly do you want. Your use case should be ready with that.
Okay, thanks. Rajiv, the last word is with you.
Yes, I am also echoing my voice with the transformation on the cloud. But yes, selection of your how much you wanted to take on the cloud or how much you wanted to maintain, that is the first prerogative of the PSU. And certainly the since the world is changing very fast, we have to keep abreast with the change technology and the and the benefit, should get the benefit out of it. And there are a lot of analytics, there are a lot of cost saving, there are a lot of assessment which we can do cloud vis-a-vis the in-house infra. So of course, they should go on the cloud.
Thanks. Thanks. So with that, I would conclude this panel discussion. And I would request Shivani to hand over a token of appreciation to all the panelists. And we have the tokens. Dipesh Jain. Haritima Jaipuriya. Avnish Vats. Rajiv Kumar Surolia, and I would request all